Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey everyone, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you. Another fantastic Friday. This is actually the last Friday of May. Wow, May 29, 2026. And we have another great show for you. If this is your very first time joining me, I want to take the opportunity to say welcome, and I want to say thank you so much for being here. If you've been here one time, 5 times, 10 times, 100, or even more, I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you, but I also want to say the words welcome back. It's always great to have people that enjoy the quality and content of the shows and content I produce here. So, guys, the way we do this is every single week we have 2 reels. One goes out usually in the morning, early afternoon, to the other one going out closer to mid to late evening. And they're about some very interesting topics. So, and then on the show, I get into let's say, digging deeper with that. All right. So it's great to be here with everyone. And yeah, don't forget to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspired creations. So let me say this clearly. Most people consume tech news passively. They read headlines, they share posts, they click links, but they don't actually embody it and understand what's happening. They don't see the patterns. They don't connect the dots between AI hype and legal consequences, between privacy claims and lawsuits, between innovation and backlash. But here's what I've learned. This week, the real story is not in the announcements. It's in the consequences. The FTC slapping Cox Media for selling AI lies. Meta getting sued over encryption claims, students booing AI speakers, Google breaking basic word searches. These are not random events, guys. These are signals. Return is proof the experience actually worked. Trust is the bridge. And when trust breaks, tech breaks with it. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that. So let me break down these points for this week in the truths one by one. These are not just headlines, guys. These are the foundation of everything happening in tech right now. Let's get started, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is so great, like I said, to be with all of you. My name is John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host. Yes. Passionate lifelong learner, graduate student, and it's so great to be with you. Now, I'm very happy to be a published author. You know, here's an interesting one. I was at a show. It was actually a cosmetic show. I was there networking to connect with a colleague. And something very interesting happened. There was the SketchBot. So SketchBot actually looked better online than it did in real life. So I saw this SketchBot in person last week. And the hype was louder than its output, right? I was really excited to get the picture taken in this little telephoto booth that they kind of made up. And then it would send over. First, the Wi-Fi was down because their Wi-Fi was crappy. And then they reconnected and they had 2 SketchBots. And it looked really flashy online. But in real life, the results, well, they felt underwhelming. Fast is nice, but if the sketch doesn't wow people, it misses the point. And that's exactly what happened when people actually saw it. So the thing you might be asking me is, you know, what is a sketch or SketchBot? So it's basically a device that allows input from a photo, and then it will draw the photo. Pretty cool, right? So a lot of times they rent these, okay? And again, I was not impressed. The website is beautiful, okay? And, it looked cool to watch this thing. A lot of companies are using it, yes. But the thing is, it's not that great. I mean, it's cool to watch it, right? It's cool to see this small little drawing or larger drawing, but it misses the mark. Again, it's that whole concept of AI overhype. We're expecting something to be a Picasso when it wasn't even close to a second grader's artwork. Man, it was terrible. I mean, you could make out what it was, but you couldn't really tell it was me. And so the question you might be asking, and it's a great question, how much does SketchBot cost? And that would be a very good question. So they have different plans, right? And they're meant for different types of, shows and things like that. So the price of SketchBot depends on the type of system you're looking for. Consumer toys to trace images on paper typically costs around $85, while commercial AI robotic photo booths for events and venues range from $29.50 to $12,500. You heard those numbers correctly. $29.50, just under $3,000, and $12,500, just under $1,300. Yeah. Actually, $13,000. Pardon me. So $12,500, $13,000. Excuse me there. So SketchBot is designed to attract attention, and it does. Don't get me wrong. But what happens when you see the final outcome? You're like, that's it. That's it. And, when I look at somebody's face and I look at their drawing, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I think the technology is cool, but I don't think it's worth anywhere near what they claim. All right, number 2, guys, Malaysia is drawing a hard line on kids and social media with new platform rules. Under 16 access and harmful content are now front and center stage. This is another sign that governments are getting more aggressive about who gets to shape online behavior. And Malaysia is leaning with this special charge with strict enforcement right now. And you might say, John, this is kind of crazy, but governments are creating this reality, okay? So with the new platform rules, again, governments are getting more aggressive. Who can shape online behavior? And the thing is, will doing this actually make life better for people? Or is it a overhype to control people, right? I mean, I think it's great what people want to do, but if it doesn't do the right thing, or it leaves people feeling empty or bad, then it didn't educate, it destroyed. Number 3, guys, FTC slaps Cox Media for allegedly selling a creepy AI lie. The company claimed it could target ads using real-time conversations near smart devices, and regulators said that was false. Another reminder that AI hype without proof can get expensive fast. And the FTC is making sure companies pay for false claims, right? The Federal Trade Commission, in case you didn't know what that was. That's crazy. So I think a lot of people make claims, but then do people actually test them? And I think the answer to that is no. You can't make false claims on something and then sell a product or service because of that. That's just downright wrong, guys. That's wrong. And I have to tell you guys that this is something that is going on not just in AI. not just in computers and technology, but it's going on in other industries too. It's just that in the AI industry, it's growing rapidly, and that's why it's becoming a problem. Number 4, guys, Meta and WhatsApp are being sued again over encryption claims this time. Texas says the apps misled users about how strong the privacy protections really were. This is the kind of AI and tech story that shows how fast trust can turn into, well, a legal debacle. And users are starting to demand real answers, not marketing words. I think a lot of companies are very good at answering in what I'm going to call marketing jargon. I mean, that's the truth, guys. And I think that's something that a lot of people, don't understand, like, what's really happening. So Meta and WhatsApp are being sued, as I said. Texas says the apps misled users about how strong the privacy protections are. And this is a problem, guys. This is a problem. And, it's funny. People don't really respond to something until they've had a personal experience or until it's affected their life, either positively or negatively. Okay. So Meta's got some pretty big boots to fill, right? They've got to answer some of these questions, right? And yes, good question. WhatsApp is wholly owned by Meta Platforms, Inc., formerly called Facebook, Inc. They are being clever to change the name. Did they really hide anything? Not really. Meta acquired the messaging platform for roughly $19 billion in 2014, in case you didn't know. It operates as one of the key pillars in Meta's tech empire, alongside Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and now Threads. But I think when people are seeing that this technology is not only starting to become untrusted, it just doesn't work all the time. So the frustration, guys, is real. The frustration is real, all right? And with that frustration being real, people are demanding answers. And like I said, not marketing words. Facebook is notorious, and a lot of the companies, at giving answers in what I like to call marketing ease or marketing jargon. How many times have you gone to a tech seminar or gone to a presentation, and the words they're using are really confusing? In fact, it sounds good, but then when you start to learn about those words and start to realize that they're just words they plugged in, they weren't really used for the right purpose. Number 5, guys, why are people sharing the location now? What was once to be felt as invasive is now normal for young people, friends, and families. See, the bigger story is how location sharing has shifted from safety tool to social signals. And people are doing it not because they have to, but because they want to belong. I don't know, guys. This goes back to like the drug caper a while back, right? People say, well, if you want to be cool, that's not cool, right? Your friends are smoking, your friends are doing drugs. That doesn't mean you should be doing them, right? I still remember a commercial many, many years ago. And it was basically eggs, okay? And it said, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. And that stuck with me. I never wanted to do drugs anyway, but that stuck with me. So a lot of people do something because they want to be part of something. In our motivational show this week, we're actually talking about belonging. How cool is that? And I think sometimes people will do whatever they can to belong, even if that is going to sacrifice trust, integrity, or even their reputation. They just want to belong. They want to do whatever they can to belong. They want to feel as though they belong. But following somebody without having your own insights, your own core values, that's going to bite you sooner or later. Number 6, AI cuts traffic waits by months now, supposedly. AI traffic systems are already cutting real waiting time, not just promising it. In the T-side, a digital twin road network helped reduce delays by up to 50% at busy junctions and save drivers about 5,000 hours in a year, proving AI can deliver actual results from data when it's built right. The thing is, a lot of times, whether we're talking about chat, Claude, or anything, they get it wrong. They don't understand directions. They don't understand the prompts correctly. And then you get frustrated because you're wasting more time to get the AI system to understand what it is that you really wanted. If I said, don't do this or do this or do that, it's like, oh, you were right. You should be upset. But why can't AI follow instructions? Is it a poor design? Is it because OpenAI just never wants to follow people's instructions? I mean, I think AI has got to become more user-friendly. I think it's got to be more consistent, right, and reliable. We can't just say, well, I did it today and it didn't work. Or I did it yesterday, it did work. We have to have some kind of benchmark. There has to be a way to tell whether what I'm doing is in alignment with the instructions I'm giving it, right? If I call a company and I press 1 or I press 2, right? The system has to know what to do. It doesn't say, sorry, I know you pressed 1, but I'm taking you somewhere else. Like what the heck is that all about, right? I mean, I'm just saying seriously, guys. I'm really saying seriously. That is a big, big issue, right? I think more people out there are starting to realize that this is becoming an issue, right? It's becoming a serious issue. And it's not happening overnight. It's happening through time. And when I say people sharing the location, they want to show people, hey, I'm cool, I'm here. But it can also bite people in the behind because they say they're somewhere and then they share the location and, well, they're not really where they said they were. I think that's an important thing to understand. Very important thing to understand. But it's important to know these things, right? It's important to know these things. Number 7, guys. Meta settles a social media addiction case. Now, Meta has settled a lawsuit brought by the Kentucky School District over claims that its platforms fueled a youth mental health crisis. The bigger story is that social media addiction cases are now moving from a theory to becoming courtroom reality, and companies can no longer pretend this isn't happening. It's really hurting marketing companies because they were saying before that this did not exist. Guess what, guys? It exists. Now what's your stick? Number 8, guys, how much screen time is too much for your under 5-year-old? The UK government has recently issued new guidance on screen time for children under 5 with key points for parents and guardians to understand. The broader message is that the advice is part of a growing focus on how screens affect very young children, and parents need to know this and pay attention to it now. It's not just affecting children, guys. It's affecting people of all different ages. How many times have you gone out somewhere and you see someone on their phone, like, just doing this, like, put the phone down, right? Put the phone down. Put it down. Have a human conversation. That's different. Number 9, guys. Bamboo. Private message sparks open a source backlash. Bamboo makes 3D printers, in case you didn't know. One private message from Bamboo has now turned into a major fight over 3D printing control and open source software. Yeesh. The company is now facing public backlash from developers and creators and advocates who say it picked the wrong target. And this shows how fast communities can push back when trust breaks. Establishing trust, that doesn't happen in a blink of an eye. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens when the right environment comes together with the right mission, the right core values, that's important, guys. Extremely, extremely important to understand. Number 10. Ferrari is using IBM's AI to create F1 superfans. Ferrari is working with IBM to turn race data into more personalized fan experience. With AI written summaries, predictions, games, and AI companion inside its app now, the goal is to make each fan feel like the experience was built just for them. Whether they followed Ferrari for years or just joined recently. Showing how AI can deepen loyalty when it's done right. I know so many people say, oh, I'm just going to throw it at AI, but they don't understand the building blocks. They don't understand that AI is not perfect. They don't understand that if you give AI bad data, it's going to give you bad output. It's going to give you bad output. Number 11, guys. You can no longer Google the word disregard. This piece says now that Google's newer AI heavy search result can make even a simple word lookup awkward, leaving a mostly empty and unhelpful page. It uses the disregard example here, as we're saying, to argue that the new search experience is sometimes breaking basic utility rather than improving it. And that's a problem when search stops working simply. When it starts working simply, people get frustrated. People don't know what to do, right? They don't know what to do. I was calling a system not too long ago using an interactive voice response system. And I had IVR for the first part of the call, but then when I got to the next part of the call, it's like there was no more IVR, no more interactive voice response. We just push buttons. And half the time I was pressing things and even giving it direction in the beginning, it was getting me to the wrong thing. In fact, I never saw such a terrible IVR system. It was obviously done on a government bid, and you get what you pay for. I mean, I think that's another important thing to understand, that you get what you pay for. Number 12, guys, Mr. Elon Musk has lost his lawsuit against Sam Altman and OpenAI. Did you know that a jury found Musk's claims were filed too late? So the case was basically decided on procedural grounds rather than a full ruling on the merits. Ooh, Elon. I can't believe someone of your caliber would make that kind of mistake. That's a rookie mistake. Seriously? Musk says he will appeal while OpenAI and Microsoft are treating the verdict as a major win, and this legal battle shaped tech headlines for months. But is this the right move? Is this going to do something good for our society, or is it going to be another political ploy? I mean, let's just be honest. Or is it something else to try to get more power? We all know how Elon likes power. Number 13, Meta quietly launches a new Reddit-like app. It's called Forum. Yep, Meta's released a standalone app for Facebook groups, and they're called Forum, and it's meant to work a bit like Reddit by focusing on deeper distractions and real answers. It also includes an AI-powered Ask tab and tools for group admins while trying everything and understanding that it all needs to link back to, well, Facebook user groups, showing Meta's important content and continuing pushing into what we call now community and the spaces that surround that community. So these are important points, guys. Very, very important points. So number 14, why are college students booing AI? Students have been booing at commencement lately. Speakers who praise or even briefly mention AI And they get this reaction as a single confusion, a push of their deeper frustration. This is reflecting their anger of inaccurate facts and poor reliable operation of AI chat. And it's a warning sign, folks, that tech companies ignore at their own risk. I think people ignore things when they don't know what to do, right? They don't know what to do. And I think those are very important things, but a lot of people, they won't really understand that at all. Okay. So let me try to break this down for you. Okay. People in our world are looking for answers. However, what they're not doing is they're not validating the answers properly. So they're not treating the answers properly. How do we move forward? That's a tricky one. A really, really tricky one. And I say tricky because of one thing. Because it's not transparent. It's not transparent. When something's not transparent, people grow frustrated because of the experience. Regardless of whether it produced a good output or not, the fact that it's not transparent, the fact that it's basically lying to the user is enough to get someone to stop using that particular product or that particular service. I want to dive back into something that we were talking about last week, and this is very important. It's about the Vatican news. So, Pope Leo's Magnificat Humanitas, AI must serve humanity, not concentrate power. Marking the 135th anniversary of Rerum Novarum, Pope Leo XIV releases his first encyclical entitled Magnificat Humanitas on safeguarding the human person in the time of artificial intelligence. He appeals for the safeguard of humanity, promotion of truth, the dignity of work, social justice, and peace. So he's trying to put a committee together to figure out, what do we need to do? How do we need to respond? How do we need to move forward? The church has never had anything like this before. It hasn't. And it never needed anything like this before. So Pope Leo is basically calling to disarm AI in major document findings, which is warning of technological threats to what he claims is humanity. That's interesting. And so Leo's talking about everything as a whole. He's not speaking about one particular option. Okay. And I think when people start to realize that preferences are being saved, if people understand that. So the question you might be asking is, why is the Pope so scared of AI? Because I think that's really what this is coming down to. Why is the Pope so very scared of AI? I'm going to tell you. He's not directly scared of AI in a sci-fi sense, but rather concerned that AI is left, if not monitored, something that will threaten, undermine human dignity, truth, and morality. So the Pope worries that AI ownership is heavily concentrated with a select group of Silicon Valley elites, tech corporations, rather than being democratically guided by the people it impacts. We got things like autonomous warfare. He's warned that AI-driven military technology and autonomous weapons are becoming practically beyond human control, increasing the ruthlessness of war, human devaluation. There is a fear that treating humans like data points or relying on algorithms for essential life decisions, like access to services or employment, strips away our own inner dignity. Definitely makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you think, like, how are we doing this? Where is this going? Like, what's the point of all this? I think there's a lot of questions that have not been answered yet, right? A lot of questions that haven't been answered yet. But there's truth in this. He's talking about protecting human dignity. The rapid spread of AI-driven misinformation and mass social manipulation, he claims, threatens the search for truth, which the church considers vital for spiritual and democratic life. So the desire to play God, he says. The Pope has cautioned that attempting to eliminate human limitations through technology has an anthropical regression, and that diminishes our capacity for genuine relationship and human connection. Ultimately, the Vatican stance is not about rejecting the technology, but creating for it to be disarmed so that it does not dominate humanity, but remains a tool that serves it, to explore the ethical framework for technology. I think ethics is something a lot of people talk about, but then when you kind of get on the carpet and say, oh, this is what I speak about. This is what I talk about. That's a very important thing to understand. Very important. It's important to understand. And the Pope is putting together a committee to basically get information. Because right now, they're at a loss. So the Pope is building an AI committee. And so this is interesting because now everything they do is about religion and God, right? But now this one thing that they're so scared of, Pope Leo has approved the creation of interdicastral commission on communication and the communication to Vatican's ethical and social response. I think that's something that a lot of people, they just don't get what that means. They don't understand why people are a certain way. And I don't want to necessarily tell you that it's a certain way. I want to tell you that it's an understanding. It's a belief. I've said this many times to you guys before. Technology is not good. Technology is not bad. It is a tool. And how we choose to use it, guys, makes it so. Right? How we choose to use it makes it so. Companies out there like Meta AI and privacy and learning data points about you, claiming it's about business, claiming it's about helping people make money. But then we find people back-ending that truth and finding ways to exploit it. I think that's the biggest fear with AI, is that AI is right now not capable of giving you correct answers all the time. You don't know whether it's giving you truth or whether it's giving you nonsense. Nonsense. Blabber. Talk. No connection to truth. Not one connection to truth. But I think the more that we understand that it is a tool, the more that I hope people will realize that we've got to use it ethically, professionally, even in your personal lives. By professionally, I just mean that we've got to use it ethically, that we've got to use it for the greater good of all concerned. That's what AI needs to be used for. And maybe you're sitting there saying to me, John, I don't really care about AI. Okay, I hear you. Maybe you don't care about AI, but AI is being used in your life every single day. Don't you think you should at least understand how it's being applied, where your data is being collected, where choices are being made, where you're getting profiled? I mean, do you realize, guys, that all this is happening under your nose every single day? It could be from an image. It could become a conversation. Could become from a social interaction, like what social media site you go to, Instagram, Facebook, what page, etc. All these things are creating a ecosystem or a culmination of who you are. And AI is becoming very good at learning your profile. Once it learns your profile, then it can start serving you ads. Then it can start making recommendations based on what you do, based on the lens that you see life through. These are very deep topics. Okay, very deep. But the question a lot of you are asking is, so what are the Pope's plans with AI? Well, he claims he wants to disarm things. He wants to be free from the monopolistic, profit-driven control and subjected to shared standards of social justice. The Vatican asserts that no algorithm can make war morally acceptable. The development and use of AI in weaponry must be subject to strict constraints, keeping a human in the loop. We've talked about this, with a firm rule that no lethal decisions should ever be left solely to machines. I agree. Worker protection. Automation policies must include protections for human employment, opportunities for worker retraining, and progressive economic policies to ease job losses. The Vatican advocates for data privacy protections measures to basically protect you and other youth younger than you from online exploitation and a halting to the exploitation of human labor in trains of the process of creating models. By trains, I'm talking about the trains of thought that AI creates, the models it builds, the understanding it is able to ascertain. Preserving human connections. The Pope advises against using AI to replace personal relationships or relying on chatbots for ready-made answers that weaken personal creativity and moral judgment. He has even advised priests to avoid using AI to write sermons. Yeah, you can see they're very concerned about this. Why? I think it comes down to the fact that if AI creates your response and you don't necessarily put in something, it's not going to be culminated by you, your emotions, your being, your presence. It's not, guys. And just thinking about this in the church or anywhere else, wherever you are, the church's view on AI is evolving. The church, specifically the Catholic Church and the broader Christian bodies, views AI as powerful tools stemming from God-given human creativity, but warns it lacks a moral conscience. It strongly emphasizes that AI must remain human-centric, prioritize the common good, and never replace human dignity. Autonomy, of course, or spiritual connection. And I think when things come together easily and we don't have to think about it, oh, this must be good, but maybe it's not good, guys. Maybe it's not good. The church clarifies that AI should not be called intelligence in the human sense. As they say, it lacks empathy, moral judgment, and spiritual depth. Number 12. The Vatican warns against technocratic approaches that value efficiency and profits above all cases. It's about you. It's about cautions against algorithms that manipulate information, deepen social inequalities, and reduce the dignity of humans all around. Now, church leadership stresses that ethical codes should not be determined by a select few tech companies. They advocate for global independent oversight to ensure transparency and justice are present at all times. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot of information. A lot of information. So, if we talk about the co-creation, scientific and technological advancements are viewed as collaborating with human in stewardship of the creation. So, however, the church warns against the habits of the humans trying to play God or relying on technology to solve the ultimate questions of life. I think ChatGPT is good for giving us idea, giving us insight. It doesn't have all the answers to life, guys. I got news for you. It does not have the answers to life. And if we know this and we know that AI is strictly a guide, then I feel that we can approach it in a manner that will definitely help you become better. You might say to me, John, I'm using AI every day to monitor my workflow. Fine, right? But you say to me, John, I'm using AI to determine who I should befriend. I'd say, don't do that. And the reason I say don't do that is because of one thing. Once you take on someone else or a being's identity, even if it's not a real person, even if it's something that's a fallacy, but you buy into it and you become that, you rob yourself of being the true individualistic person that you were created to be. That's an important distinction, guys. Very important. I think if you can understand those things and you can realize that AI, artificial intelligence, is a huge tool, a very big tool. And this tool has the ability to not only change who you are, but it has the ability to change who others are. It basically decides one thing. It takes data and it makes a decision on that data. That's what it does. It takes data and it makes a decision on that data. So this brings us to another good point. How did AI get invented? Oh, that's a great question. Not a short question, by the way, not a short question. So AI was not invented overnight, just so you know. But rather, it evolved over decades through a combination of mathematical computing power and vast amounts of data. So the foundation and thinking machines, which started around 1940 to 1950, is when this evolution first started. The mathematical brain in 1943, neuropsychologist Warren McCullough and mathematician Walter Pitts created a mathematical model for basically artificial neutral. Artificial neutral knew where we were going. It knew the kind of stuff that we were doing. And if we understand that, we're going to really understand why AI is causing us some challenges, right? So back around 1950, that's something called the Turing test. The British mathematician Alan Turing published a foundational paper he proposed, quote unquote, the imitation game, known as the Turing test, which asks whether a machine can exhibit intelligent behavior indistinguishable from a human. Indistinguishable from a human. I think that's something that is extremely, extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. The Dartmouth Conference. The formal field of AI was established in 1956 at a workshop organized by computer scientist John McCartney. Okay. And that, my friends, is where the silence ends. People are choosing. In that few seconds of silence there, were you able to fill it with something? Or was that a moment that you went to a chat or to a bot and said, oh, what do I do? Do you put everything into ChatGPT or do you try to analyze some things yourself? I don't know. I'm just asking the question, right? The Turing test, human ability. I think we're going to see more opportunities to actually celebrate community. That's very powerful, guys. And for the Pope to call it a disarming, he's concerned. He's very concerned about the moral ethics. So who is supporting the new Pope AI initiative? Is it everybody? So the supporters and collaborators in the initiative included Anthropic, the AI company that develops the Claude model, by co-founder Christopher Olah, aligned with the Vatican to promote AI safety, transparency, and the importance of ethical guardrails, they call it. So he's on board. Another one that was on board is basically the tech ethics academics, leading voices like Brian Patrick Green, Catholic institutions, prominent U.S. Catholic universities such as Notre Dame, Georgetown, Santa Clara, are actively researching and establishing faith-based ethical standards in technology. Bet you never thought you'd hear those words in a sentence before. They're pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. Of course, you've got the global watchdogs of civil society. Organizations like Reporters Without Borders have supported the initiative, advocating for the Pope's vision to protect the public right to information against the rise of AI-driven deepfakes and misinformation. The Vatican officials, key Vatican figures who help shape the initiative include the Pontifical Academy of Life, which previously led the 2020 Rome call for AI ethics in partnership with corporate giants like Microsoft and IBM. And there's many, many more. But my question is, are these people really on board, or is this just a political showing? I think that's my question. And I think that will be shared in time, whether this is support or whether this is just a, hey, it's me too. And so Christopher Olah, co-founder of leading AI lab Anthropic, joined the presentation of Pope Leo's on artificial intelligence. And the visit represents the latest in outreach to religious leaders for Olah. But is there another reason? I think so. I think when these different people get support from a public official like the Pope or a president, I think it elevates their status and people immediately give them credibility. But I want to say something to you. Just because these people are supporting the Pope does not mean they deserve your direct credibility. I'm just going to be honest about that, right? We talked about some very interesting things today. We talked about the SketchBot, how AI is creating this hype, right? It's almost like somebody is showing it this delicious chocolate cake online, right? You can envision, touching it, smelling it, tasting it. But then when you get there in person to actually experience the cake, something happens. The cake is not as fluffy. The icing is not as creamy. The filling is not as rich. And you start to realize that things are different. And by them being different, you become different. Your beliefs change. So I think a lot of this that we're seeing, guys, is political support. Whether we're talking about, machine learning, or we're talking about big data, generative AI. I think right now it's coming down to a premise. And that premise says, here's what I believe AI is. Here's what you should be using AI for. That could step over people's comfort zones. I think the Pope has a right to be protective. I don't think it should be a dictatorship. Maybe AI is going to share some truths that people don't want to hear. Maybe AI is going to be used by bad actors, as we've already seen in the past. But the question everybody's been asking me, John, is why did the Pope, give that speech? Why did he give that speech? To address the ethical threats of technology and artificial intelligence. He called for AI to be, quote unquote, disarmed of domination logistics, and warned how algorithmic warfare and deepfakes weaken truth and democracy. You give AI a bunch of things and you say, which one does it like better? And then suddenly you decide to paint your room that color because AI said that's the best color. But you might hate the color it gave you. So I think too many people are using AI to make all the decisions. And I think that is the biggest danger right now. That they're not using their own brains. That they're not understanding where things are coming from. That's the biggest challenge I can tell you right now. People need to be using this. They need to be using their brain. Because when you use your brain, you ask yourself questions. You analyze things. You question things. When you get an answer from AI, how many of you out there say, okay, it's from AI, it's probably good, it looks good, it's formatted, I'm going to use it. But it could be completely wrong, right? But yet, you use it. So we learned today about things that are hyped online. And then when we get to the real world, we realize that's not the way it is. Not the way it is. And that alone can help you understand. I was talking about people sharing locations. I was talking about data, how people are using things, creating deep fakes. And you have to ask yourself, are we using technology for the greater good of all concerned? This is what we have to ask ourselves. Are we doing that right now? Are we using technology to empower ourselves, empower others, without us falling into a trap? That's key, guys. Really, really key. And so as you think about this and you think about how this may be impacting you, these are not random stories today, guys. These are the real truths. These are the emerging signals that are pushing through. If you do that, you'll notice a difference. And when you notice the difference, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be a subtle change. I had something happen to me just the other day where I had an epiphany of how I can use something, but I knew it all along. It's just I didn't know how to put the pieces together. So I think the best use of AI is learning how to use it to put the pieces together, not having it build the pieces for you. You can have it analyze some of your pieces, but realize that AI should never, ever be used as the be-all, end-all. And I see so many people out there saying, okay, I'm going to use AI. Great, you want to use AI, is fine. But let's research other things. Let's check the facts. Is AI correct, or is AI completely off base? We can't create AI just to fit in. We have to create AI to solve real-world problems. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about other grad students. And we said, we don't need more graduate students to code AI. We need graduate students to first understand the problems and then code AI. So many people are using this as a money maker, but they're not putting forth the foot that would be ethical. Does that make sense? So this is just scratching the iceberg. And as we do that, we're going to know that there's much more beneath it. Again, I've seen AI get praised at conferences and fail when people actually try to do something. Every time the pattern is the same, hype creates expectation, reality creates disappointment, and trust gets damaged. And when trust breaks, the whole thing, guys, falls apart. So I'm asking you, what tech is right for you right now and what you trust? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Be sure to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. You've been watching or listening to the J Moore Tech Talk Show. See you soon.